to Eclectic Self Protection, North London Martial Arts and Self-Defense. This video has been designed to give you an in-depth tutorial relating to women's self-defense and women's self-protection. To understand the term self-protection relating to women in general, you need to understand three basic definitions, which are 1, personal safety, 2, the actual term self-protection, and 3, the actual term self-defense. So I'm just going to give you some basic definitions so you understand these. So number 1, personal safety. Personal safety by definition is the steps you would take to try and avoid potential problems from happening. These are things such as like locking your car door, locking your house door, installing burglar alarms, having security cameras up on your premises, or even something such as having a guard dog to protect your home. Number 2 is the actual term self-protection. Self-protection at a basic level can be defined as the tactics and strategies you would use in order to avoid getting into a self-defense situation in the first place. Number 3 is the actual term self-defense. Self-defense by definition implies you have been attacked and are therefore defending yourself using physical tools to get out of that situation and back to safety. In regards to self-defense and the UK law, there are 3 main points you need to understand. Number 1 is the perceived level of threat. Number 2 is the appropriate and necessary response. And number 3 is a justifiable use of force. So we're just going to look at 2 examples and how these apply to the law. Example 1, you're a lady, you've been confronted by a male attacker who has an intent on harming you. You slap him in the face, you knee him in the groin, and you continue to stamp on his head. In this example, you have not acted within the UK law. Example 2, you're a lady, you're approached by 2 20-stone blokes who have an intent on harming you. You slap one of them in the face, take them down to the floor, stamp on the ankle, and leg it to safety. With this example, you have acted within the UK law. You have used appropriate force, you've assessed the situation correctly, and you've tried to protect yourself and get back to safety. Yeah? So when you're employing self-defense measures, try and use your self-defense tools in relation to these 3 points. Okay, so we're going to look at some acts of intrusion and violence women can face in society. Number 1 is domestic violence. Number 2 is unwanted attention. And number 3, bag snatches. Number 4, rape and sexual assaults. And number 5, harassment. So these things are things that women can face in a society and therefore have to use either self-protection tools or self-defense techniques to protect themselves. And we're going to cover these in more detail as we progress through this presentation. So I want to give you some key facts relating to women. Before I begin this, I want to just mention that I don't mean to appear sexist in mentioning this. These are points which have been proven over a long period of time by various martial arts and self-defense instructors. Okay, number 1, most women are physically weaker than men. Yeah? Men in general have a bigger muscle structure, they're usually bigger and taller. Women on the other hand are usually smaller in body frame and have less muscle structure. Number 2, most women feel less able to act violently than men. Research shows that most men have a higher aggression factor than women and usually will want to defend themselves more often than the average woman would. Number 3, most women are slightly shorter and lighter than men, which goes back to number point 1. Number 4, most women tend to wait too long before going physical. So what that means is usually an attacker will attack a woman before the woman wants to respond using physical tools, and they feel less able to. And lastly, most women want simple, practical self-defense techniques to protect themselves. And we're going to go over a range of self-defense tools which you can use quite easily and quite effectively and dynamically for women's self-defense. Okay. In regards to self-protection, you need to understand what awareness means, what avoidance means, and what escape means. So awareness, by definition, means being switched on and knowing what's going on around you. Yeah. So when you're out and about, remain switched on, stay alert, have good self-awareness about yourself, have awareness about the people around you, and have awareness of your society and environment. Number 2 is avoidance. Avoidance basically means not entering into a difficult situation in the first place. So let's say you're a lady, you're walking down the street, and ahead of you there's a group of boisterous men. They're being loud, they're shouting, they could be drinking, maybe on drugs, and you get that feeling where something doesn't feel comfortable. You cross the road and you go a different route. You've avoided entering into a difficult situation. Yeah? And number 3 is escape. So escape at a basic level means to run. So if you're confronted by either a single male attacker or a group of male attackers, if you can run, run. There's no shame in running away. It's not about creating superheroes, yeah? So if you can exit the situation and flee to safety and get to a safe zone, do that. Okay, in regards to the term awareness, there's a very good model called the Color Code, which was designed by Jeff Cooper, who was an American pistols instructor who designed a color code scheme for states of awareness and to avoid a potential threat from happening. So we're just going to basically go through that at a basic level just so you understand that. So the color code is divided into 4 colors: white, yellow, orange, and red. Code white basically means you're switched off and have no awareness of what's going on around you. Yeah? So you're just walking down the street, you've got your earphones in, you're not looking at what's going on around you, you're just looking at the floor and you're walking forwards on. So you have no awareness of what's going on around you. Yeah? Code 2, yellow. Yellow basically means you're switched on and have subliminal awareness. In other words, you're walking down the streets, you're being aware of other people walking past you, you're being aware of your society. Yeah? You're switched on. Code yellow is the state of awareness you should be in at all times. Number 3 is code orange, which indicates there's a rising threat and it's your ability to evaluate the situation. Yeah? So this goes back to what I said at the beginning of the presentation. You see a group of boisterous people on a corner, they're being loud, they're being aggressive, and you decide to cross the road and go the opposite direction. Yeah? So you've assessed the threat and you've taken another route to avoid problems from happening. Code red indicates the fight or flight response. Yeah? In other words, you've been confronted by a male attacker, you either have to fight and use preemptive tools to get out of that situation and back to safety, or you can flight, which is to run. Yeah? That's it. So 4 color codes: white, yellow, orange, and red. So try and use these states of awareness in your everyday life so you have good self-awareness about what's going on around you. For more information about Jeff Cooper's color code and how it can benefit you in terms of awareness and self-defense training, please view my other YouTube video on this channel. Okay, so we're going to look at some natural self-defense tools women can use to aid themselves in personal protection. So the first one is defense and guard. 2 is the defensive and offensive push. 3 is the hammer fist, 4 is the heel hand strike, 5 is the power slap, 6 is elbows and knees, 7 is kicks, 8 is face wash, 9 is the head turn, 10 is a trip, and 11 is the cover and smother principle. So we're just going to look at these at a basic level so you understand these. Okay, so defense and guard. Defense works in a way of bringing your left leg in front, the opposite leg a comfortable pace behind, your hands up in front with the lead arm controlling, and your opposite hand a comfortable pace behind. So your lead hand should be longer in length than the opposite hand, and the opposite hand just comes just behind, and you're not facing completely forwards on, you're semi-sideways on, and this fence here is to protect a potential attacker coming into your personal space. So personal space, by definition in regards to defense, is anything between your longest finger to your body of equal diameter of a circle around you. That's it. If anybody comes in that circle of equal length around you, that is your personal space. So this fence here should be submissive, and it acts as like a garden fence that protects your house from another house. Yeah. So this fence here should be the first control you use before entering into any physical tools. Yeah. The next one is the actual guard stance. Yeah. So the guard stance, again, lead leg in front, opposite leg comfortable pace behind, fist at shoulder level, elbows in protecting the ribs, body not completely forwards on, semi-sideways on, good center of gravity, and so on. Yeah? So this guard or fighting stance will be usually the second stance you would use after the fence if a fight has kicked off or you've tried to preempt and escape and you're now in a fight where you're trying to defend yourself. This is the second stance we use. Yeah. So first, defense. Second, guard or fighting stance. Okay. Number 2 is the actual defensive and offensive push. Yeah. So the push is a very simple and effective tool you can use to get an attacker away from you and create distance between you and them. So the push works in a way of being in your fence stance, first of all. Yeah? You've got an attacker in front of you coming towards you. This is your fence here. Yeah? You've tried to de-escalate the situation, or you've told the attacker to back off using verbal conversation and verbal dialogue, and they have an intent of coming into your personal space or harming you. So with the push, if we look at the offensive push first of all, if you think of the term offensive, it's going forwards. So if you swear, you're going forwards. Yeah, offensive is going forwards. So with the offensive push, your arm should not be completely locked out. There should be a semi-bend in the elbows here. Yeah? And these palms here should be aiming to push across the shoulder line structure here. So you're going to get these palms right into the attacker of the male. Yeah. So from this position, you've got your fence up. They're coming towards you. You sprint forwards and you push. Yeah. So this should be a natural aggressive action to push the attacker away. So when you're doing the offensive push going forwards, I want you to practice using power talking, such as back off, stay away, leave me alone, get away. Yeah. So when the attacker's coming towards you, you've got your fence up, back off. Yeah. Stay away. Yeah. Leave me alone. And so on. So the offensive push is going forwards. The defensive push works in a way of pushing as you retreat. Yeah. If you take the concept of being defensive, if you say, for example, like a footballer who's standing by the goalpost, they're protecting the ball from entering the goal. Yeah. So they're being defensive. Yeah. So with a defensive push, it works in the same way. So you're still pushing the attacker, but instead of going forwards, you're pushing as you spring back. Yeah. So all you're doing from this position, through natural body movement, as you push, you just shift and spring back as you do so. And again, you want to power talk and so on. Yeah? So as the attacker comes towards you, back off. Yeah. Come again, stay away. Yeah? Don't come any closer. Yeah? So use the push offensively and defensively with the power talking. Yeah? Okay, the third technique is the hammer fist. Yeah? So the hammer fist works in a way of clenching your fist here. The thumb can either be underneath like so, or the thumb can be on top. If you place the thumb on top, you've got a bit more extra power as you strike with it. But you can use this one or this one. And with the hammer fist, you're striking with the outstep here of the hand, yeah? And you want to aim to get these hammer fists in a downwards fashion going in towards the attacker's face, yeah? So all you're doing from this position, from your fighting stance or your offense stance, you bring the fist to the shoulder level and you drive the hammer fist down in towards the attacker's face. So if you imagine you've got a nail in your hand and a hammer in the other opposite hand, all you're doing is hammering the nail into the wood, yeah? In exactly the same fashion, the attacker's in front of you, all you're doing from this position is hammer fisting going in towards the face and in towards the head as many times as you need to get the attacker off you so you have an escape route so you can get back to safety, yeah? So the hammer fist, always think about the hammer fist going down in towards the attacker's face and head as you do so, yeah? The fourth strike is the heel hand strike. So the heel hand strike works in a way of either having your hand in an open palm hand, like so, striking with the heel bone, or you can clench your fingers down with a thumb on the side, and you're striking with the heel here. Yeah? So again, you can use this like this, or you can do it like this, whichever method's easier for you. Yeah? So with this strike, you're aiming to strike usually the bridge or up in towards the nose or in the face in general, or towards the side of a jaw here. Yeah? So you can do the palm heel strike going in towards the face, or you can use it in a sort of circular fashion, in a striking fashion, and strike the side of the jaw here. Yeah? So with this action, it's similar to a punch, yeah, similar to a boxer's punch. All you're doing from here is you're in your fighting stance. It starts from the shoulder, you drive through, and you open your hand and tense on point of impact in towards the attacker's face or nostril area. Yeah? And again, you want to use this 1, 2, 3, 4, however many you need, and be aggressive in natural body motion as you do it in towards the attacker to get them off you. In towards the heel bone here, yeah? In towards the jaw. All you're doing from this position is you're just driving the heel of a hand in towards this jawline structure here. Yeah? You strike someone in the jaw, causes maximum shaking of the jaw, a maximum shaking of the brain, and a potential knockout. So that's exactly what you want for women's self-defense. Something simple that's going to be used very effectively in towards the male attacker. The next one is the power slap. Yeah. So again, you're in an open hand position, like so, and you're either slapping the side of the face to get a nice stinging effect, or in towards the ear. So just try this lightly, one towards the side of your face, yeah, to get a nice stinging effect, and number two, in towards the ear. Yeah? If you slap someone in towards the ear, it causes a blockage of the fluid in the ear canal and causes a major disorientation in the attacker. Yeah? So you can use this in towards the side of the face or in towards the ear. How the technique works, again, you're either in your fence or in your match fighting stance, and from this position all you're doing is the hand starts at the shoulder level and you're rotating and circulating and then tensing on point of impact as you make impact with the attacker's side of a face or ear. So from this position, it's going all the way across. So it should be one natural circular aggressive motion. And if you're a woman, yeah, and you're using these strikes, don't be afraid to keep doing it, yeah. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Finish off the attacker quickly, effectively, and dynamically, and then again, escape to safety, yeah. Okay. Elbows and knees, yeah. So with the elbows, you bring the fist by the shoulder, and you're striking with the strongest part of the forearm here. Yeah? So the elbow can go around like so, it can go diagonally downwards, it can go in an upwards motion, it can be used to go backwards with the point of the elbow towards the attacker's face, or in towards the solar plexus, and they can also be used in a hooking action here. Yeah? So if we look at the reverse front elbow first of all, so from this position you're either in your fence or in your match fighting stance. It can be generated from both. Yeah. So again, you bring your fist to the shoulder level, by the shoulder, and you drive the elbow in towards the attacker's face. Yeah. So that's the reverse front elbow. In addition, if you want to, grab the attacker's back of the head and neck area, and drive that in towards the attacker. Yeah? So this should be one simultaneous action. So this is coming into this action, this is going forwards. So this should be one simultaneous action. The next one is the diagonal elbow. So from this position, it's going diagonally down in towards the attacker's face. So similar to this, exactly the same action here, but this time they're going diagonally in towards the attacker's face. They could have their guard up, or they could be trying to protect themselves. You grab their hand and you drop the hand down and drive the elbow in towards the face. Yeah. Next one, you could have an attacker behind you. They might try and grab your lapel, pull you back from behind. You see the attacker, use your peripheral vision, you see them coming towards you. From this position, fist to opposite shoulder, use the point and back part of the elbow and shift back in towards the attacker. Yeah? So from this position here, all you're doing is driving the elbow backwards in towards the attacker's front part of the face or the throat of the attacker if you can. Yeah? Next one is the elbow going backwards this way. So what you're doing from this position, similar to this action here, but this time you drive it from this position and you drive the elbow in towards the solar plexus here. Yeah? So we get this elbow right in towards the attacker's body. And hooking elbow, so from this position all you're doing is you're in your fighting stance or your offense stance. The male attacker's coming towards you. You start with the fist at shoulder level. You rotate all the way around, bring your foot to the ground as well, and you drive the elbow and hook it in towards the attacker's face, yeah? Or the side of the head, depending on how the male attacker is orientated to you when you're defending yourself. Okay, knees. Knee strikes are very effective for women's self-defense. So you've got a male attacker in front of you, you interlock your hands around the attacker's head and neck, and from this position, you're driving the knee in towards the attacker's groin, or in towards their midriff. And when you've got hold of the attacker, keep driving them in until you've got an escape route. Yeah? So it's 1, 2, 3 on both sides, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Yeah. And with the knee strike, you want to think about the two forces. You've got this force being pulled into your body, and then this force going forwards as you do so. So this should be one simultaneous action. Yeah. So it's not A then B. It's A to B as you do so. Yeah. So one simultaneous action. Okay. Next one, kicks. There's only 2 kicks I really recommend for women's self-defense. In regards to kicks, there's some things you need to be aware about for street self-defense. With kicks, if you're attacking high towards above the belt, you need to be warmed up. You need to have been stretched. And 3, high kicks require a lot of flexibility. And 4, there will be a time delay as you raise your leg towards the attacker's head before you make impact with the attacker. And 6, high kicks can cause you to go off balance. Yeah. So with kicks for female self-defense, there's a saying where I say, don't kick above your resting fingertips. If you rest your fingertips by your side here, never kick above where your fingertips lie. Yeah? So keep your kicks ideally below the waist section. So there's 2 kicks I recommend. Yeah. The first one is the front kick, the front snap kick. It's again generated from either the fence stance or the match fighting stance. All you're doing from this position is you're raising your knee, curl the ball of your foot back, and you snap forwards in towards the attacker's groin or midriff area. So front snap kick driving forwards, either off the lead leg or off the rear leg. And also the low tie kick, yeah? So the low tie kick is basically moving the leg in a circular fashion and you're striking the side of a leg. So what we're doing from this position is you're driving the leg and snapping out towards the side of their lower extremities, yeah? So two kicks, front kick and low tie kick. So try and use those ones, yeah? Okay. Next is the face wash, yeah? Face wash are very good for women's self-defense. So what you're doing from this position is you're making sort of like claws with your hands, yeah? And all you're doing is driving these claws in towards the attacker's face, kind of like in a tearing and scratching action, yeah? So you can do this with your lead, the reverse, and you want to get these fingers, your nails in towards the male attacker's face, yeah? So the face wash, scratching, tearing across the male attacker's face. Next one is the actual head turn, yeah? Head turns are very useful for taking a male attacker down if you're a woman, yeah? So what you're doing from this position is one hand will grab the side of their jaw like so, and the opposite hand will grab behind, and you want to aggressively twist the head, yeah? Aggressively twist the head as you take and step past the attacker, yeah? So you can either do this covering the attacker's mouth and nose like so, and the other hand could cover behind the head, or you can do it grabbing the zygomatic here, zygomatic jawline structure, and again you twist the head, or alternatively you can cover the attacker's eyes and then twist the head and take them down towards the floor. Yeah, so you've got this option, grab here, close the face here, or close the eyes, and again the opposite hand comes behind the head, and all you're doing from this position is you're turning and twisting the head as you move past the attacker and taking them down to the floor. So head turns are very useful for women's self-defense to get an attacker off you and take them down to the floor quickly. The next one is the trip, yeah? So with the trip or the sweep, all you're doing from this position, you're in your fence stance, you're a lady, you're a woman, you're de-escalating the situation, you grab the attacker's clothing line structure here, and all you're doing from this position is you're going to sweep the leg here, yeah? So all you're doing from this position, you've got this force going diagonally downwards, and then this force, this opposite leg, sweeping their lower extremity. So this should be one action, you sweep them and take them down to the floor, yeah? And lastly is the cover and smother principle, yeah? So the cover and smother principle is used usually against a male attacker trying to swing punches in towards the side of your head. So usually wild swinging hooking punches, yeah? So with the cover and smother principle, what you're doing from this position is you're bringing your hand like so by the side of your head. As you can see, the hand is planted behind my neck and head. The elbow serves to protect the side of my head. So that's the left cover block, left cover block, right cover block, yeah? So it's exactly the same thing on the opposite side, yeah? It's kind of like as if you're doing a salute, 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 salute. All you're doing from this position is bringing the hand up and protecting your head, yeah? So when the male attacker's in front of you and they're coming towards you and they're trying to attack you, yeah? Cover, get in towards the attacker. So again, you're smothering the attacker, yeah? And again, you use the head turn, which I was went into detail about. Twist, turn the head, yeah? Walk past the attacker, sweep them down to the floor and leg it to safety, yeah? So what you're doing from this position one more time, cover, smother, shut down, twist and turn the head, sweep the attacker and take them down to the floor, yeah? So that's the cover and smother principle. Okay, so there is some female self-defense tools which are quite easy and very user-friendly to use, which you can use to aid in your personal protection, yeah? Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is expedient weapons. Expedient weapons, by definition, are everyday objects that can be used for self-defense purposes. So we're just going to go through and list some now. So some examples could be scissors, nail files, something simple as a mobile phone, a tin can, a walking stick, a broom handle, a pool cue, keys, coins, shopping bags, or even something so simple as a bin. Yeah, so these are all everyday objects which you can use in terms of protecting yourself for self-defense purposes. Yeah. Okay. So we'll look at briefly the term domestic violence. Domestic violence can be defined at a basic level as violence or aggressive behaviour within your household. I must state at this point, no one has a right to inflict any physical damage or physical assault on any other person in the household. Yeah? There's a tactic which I teach to my female students in regards to domestic violence, which you should take away and use in your everyday life. It's called the escape gambit. So what that means is that you're escaping either to the outside of your house or to another part inside your household. Let's say, for example, you're a woman and there's a male in your family that's trying to assault you, and you're in the house. Yeah. So what you would do is you'd obviously be in that room with that man, and you would leg it out of that room, lock that door that the male attacker is in, and then go to another room and lock that door, and then call the domestic abuse line and get someone to come and help you. Yeah? Or number two is you would escape from that male attacker, run outside your household, but lock your house door behind you so the male attacker can't come out, and then you can escape to a safe zone. Yeah. So the escape gambit basically means escaping to another area, either within the household or outside the household, as you lock a door or create a barrier behind you to stop the male attacker coming at you. Yeah. Okay. Next, I want to talk about is sexual assault, harassment, and the worst case of rape. Yeah. All of these sexual assaults, harassment, and rape, and so on, they can have a devastating emotional effect on women. Yeah. So if you are being approached by a male attacker and they're sexually harassing you, no always means no. Yeah. So no always means no. Don't be embarrassed if you're a woman to say, "Get your hand off my breasts. Get your hand off my bum." Yeah. Never be embarrassed to shout out loud and say, "Don't come near me, back off, get your hands off my breast, get your hand off my bum," and so on. Yeah. In regards to rape, there's never an instance where the female is at fault in a rape situation. Yeah. It's always the fault of the male attacker, or what's defined as the rapist. Yeah. Okay. There's some other things you need to be aware about in regards to women's self-defense and staying safe, which male attackers may try to use on you. Number one is the sort of arm around the shoulder. A male attacker may sort of come by the side of you and put their arm around your shoulder. They may try and do a sort of like controlled come for a drink. Hands either on you singly or both. Hands on sensitive parts, yeah, and a controlled sort of drag into another place, yeah. So be aware about these types of things: the arm around the shoulder, the hands on your body, even hands sort of like covering the wall, and they're trying to talk to you and so on, yeah. And hands on sensitive parts and the sort of controlled drag. So try and you remember these things. So when you're out in a pub or club environment, be aware about what these type of male attackers can try and use deceptively against you to try and harass you or sexually assault you. Yeah? The next thing I want to talk about at basic level is knife threats. Yeah? In regards to knife threats, if you can comply with your attacker, it's probably a very good thing to do so. Yeah? So hand over your car keys, your money, your wallet, your iPhone, and only resort to physical action if you have to. Yeah? Always remember, if a male attacker has a knife, they may have an intent on harming you further. Yeah? So compliance is your first option. and then preemption is your second. Yeah. So if you seriously think that, despite handing over your forms of wealth, the male attacker has an intent of using that blade on you, be the first to attack, get in close, control the arm, control the elbow, drive those knee strikes in, can keep driving the knee strikes in, get the hand on the back of your male attacker, take them down to the floor, stamp on that wrist, stamp on that ankle, and leg it to safety, yeah? Okay, so the conclusion is, the best form of self-defense is being somewhere else. Let's always remember that. The best form of self-defense is being somewhere else. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on women's self-defense. I've tried to streamline it and simplify it to the best so you understand the main key points and definitions and so on, so you can use these self-awareness, these personal security skills and these physical tools in your everyday life to aid in your personal protection in society. Yeah? Okay. If you are interested in women's self-defense or attending any of our courses, please do keep your eyes peeled on our website. Keep checking our website for self-defense courses. We run lots of women's intensive self-defense courses and they've been very successful with the general public. So if you would like to attend some self-defense classes, don't hesitate to get in contact with us and we will respond to you directly. Thank you for watching this. I hope you can take away something useful from it and I've increased your general self-protection relating to women's self-defense. We are Eclectic Self Protection, North London Martial Arts and Self-Defense. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Check our website, www.eclecticselfprotection.com, for everything relating to martial arts and self-defense training. Thanks for watching. See you next time.